everybody about the parade on
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the village board meeting, Tuesday, May 28th. If we'll all stand, we'll have trustee Sabo lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo? Trustee K. Janis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Daley?
Present. Trustee DeVivo is under the weather, and she called me up today and will not be able to attend tonight. Okay, are there any amendments to the agenda? All right.
Yes,
Trustee Suisse?
yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move to amend number 6 under action items into two separate motions and discussions. 6A regarding Mayor Pro Tem and 6B Plan Commission appointment, because I think those are two separate positions that need to be discussed separately.
That would be fine.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just write that down, two separate motions.
Would you consider it as 6A and 6B?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
6A, 6B. Okay. All right, are there any other amendments to the agenda? All right. There's a telephone call, though.
Not me.
Hold the phone.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 14, 2013 meeting?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo,
I second.
second by trustee Swees. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the recognition of Eagle Scout Jacob Yagodinsky. Jacob, if you could please step up to the podium to address the board. When you're ready, please tell the board, and I'll have your Eagle Scout service project and what being an Eagle Scout means to you.
Thank you.
You can bend that up if you want. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jacob Jagosinski. I'm currently an Eagle Scout in Boy Scout Troop 63. In order to become Eagle, I had to be active in the troop for at least 6 months, earn a total of at least 21 merit badges, serve a position in your troop for at least 6 months, such as senior patrol leader, which is where you lead your troop as the youth leader, or troop guide, both of which I did, which is where you teach the younger scouts and get them to advance in rank. The way to Eagle has made me a better person, helped me with leadership skills with my Eagle project, and has also helped me with communication skills, which I hope will help me in the future, which is because I want to be a secondary math teacher. Hopefully communication and leadership skills will help me in the future. As I previously stated, one of the requirements to obtain the rank of Eagle was the Eagle Project. For my Eagle Project, I extended the recreational fire area at Shady Oaks Camp and made it more wheelchair accessible for the campers. The project helped ensure that all the campers could enjoy the activities that the camp has to offer, as well as the memories that are formed from it. Eagle has given me the chance to do different things. It extended my capabilities, what I could do, especially in school. It helped me become a leader in all my classes. It gained skills that will definitely help me in the future, and I'm currently in the top 1%, which is, any Eagle is in the top 1% of scouting, so it's a big deal for me. I'd like to thank the mayor for this recognition and all the trustees and the committee and my parents for helping me along this journey. Thank you very much.
You know what, if you want to step up here and we'll let your parents take a picture.
Sure.
I've got a pin for you. Notice you have a lot of different badges. Congratulations. This is a pen. This is a pin on behalf of Over Glen. You can probably add it somewhere to your. Congratulations.
Nice.
Hey, Joe, just for safety reasons, I noticed the storm is getting pretty bad. Before I came to the meeting, there were scattered tornado warnings in different areas. Can you keep an eye on the weather? Okay. All right, congratulations again to Jacob. The next portion is schedules of accounts payable. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of April 25th through May 29th, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich,
Second.
second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start it out. Under Northern Will County Water Agency, the next meeting of the Northern Will County Water Agency will take place on Monday, June 10th at 11 a.m. A copy of that agenda will be posted on the village's website before the meeting. Under Oak Valley Stormwater Improvement Project, as you know, the village is committed to try to resolve the numerous flooding and stormwater issues we have. As a part of this commitment, the village will be opening bids tomorrow afternoon for the next phase of the important Village of Homer Glen's Oak Valley Stormwater Improvement Project. The project, for which the village receives state grant funding, is aimed at restoring stormwater detention volumes in the subdivision's large central detention pond. Construction on the project is anticipated to begin this summer. Under signage, village staff is working with 159th Street business BI Rental and the holders of the Orland Oak Shopping Center on 143rd Street. Both of these entities have damaged pole signs in front of their properties, and the village staff is working with them to come up with a resolution of either fixing or removing the damaged signs. Under achievements, congratulations goes out to Homer Heat Miller team for winning at the Six Flags Great America May Madness 13 and Under tournament. This is the team's second tournament championship wins. Congrats again. Congrats also goes out to 8-year-old Homer Glen resident Gwen Kirha for taking first place in the 2013 Illinois State Level 6 Girls Gymnastic Championship. Gwen has earned the all-around state championship title 3 years in a row. Great job, Gwen. Under video gaming, I once again express my support for the video gambling ordinance that is before the village board this evening. After significant review, I believe the video gambling can be rolled out in Homer Glen in an orderly and safe manner. Further, I appreciate every member of the board that is willing to support my initiative to utilize the proceeds from the village's portion of the 30% state video gaming tax to pay to refurbish, replace, or install Opticom public safety devices on each of the intersections within the village's corporate boundaries, on 151st Street, 159th Street, 143rd Street, and Bell Road. I really do believe that this initiative could help save lives as emergency response vehicles from our sister Homer Glen government agencies move faster to Homer Glen residents through these busy intersections. Under Recon Convention for the shopping center industry, I'm pleased to report that Homer Glen was well represented at this year's largest retail recruitment convention known as Recon. Manager Davis, Director Patch, and I spent 2.5 days attending Recon 2013. The agenda at the Recon was jam-packed. We were able to very positively meet during the convention with retailers who will be of great benefit for Homer Glen. I know that Director Patch is off and running with all the following up that is necessary to further specific retailers' considerations of Homer Glen. I appreciate the Village Board's ongoing support of the village's economic development incentives. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Director Patch to give the board a brief update on the recon. Janie?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to the trustees and folks in the audience and at home. As we had hoped and planned for, Recon was a great opportunity for Homer Glen. It was certainly an impressive and challenging convention, occupying about 1 million square feet of convention floor, which stretched 3/4 of a mile from one end to the other. And then there were the crowds to contend with because there were about 30,000 registrants that participated this year, so the participation has gone up as the economy is improving. So a lot of folks were there and a lot of the right folks were there. The key to gaining access to busy site selectors is telling them what they need to hear. They're looking to Homer Glen and how can they grow their business and success in Homer Glen for it to be of any pertinent matter to them. So that was what we needed to craft in terms of our pitch. And so a lot of research was done ahead of time before going to the convention, and I believe it did pay off because we do have follow-up work to do. We did pull together and were careful to take into consideration highlighting commercial spaces or development site opportunities which would meet specific site selection, site requirement criteria for the different retailers that we were addressing. So it wasn't just a shotgun approach, but we were trying to be specific in where would this work in our community and speak to those desirable retailers in that manner. Residential rooftop density and evidence of new housing starts is central to many retailers in their site selection decisions. While Homer Glen is able to show some improvement in the housing market, the news that Meyer has broken ground and the state and county planned road improvements, as well as future projected traffic growth in our area, was definitely news that was important to deliver to the retailers that we were speaking with. And it did gain us some attention from site selectors. So to help craft our pitch, I also requested early access to trade area information that's being pulled together by the consultants who are working on our 159th Street corridor planning study. The information was extremely useful because it helped demonstrate Homer Glen's demographics and retail spending patterns in terms of drive times rather than just pure census information, which relies on the corporate boundaries. But shoppers don't really pay attention to such boundaries. They go where it's convenient and where the roads link them up with businesses that they want to go to. So the trade area profile and demographics that are being put together for the 159th Street Corridor Planning Study is relying on drive times. We're talking about 10, 15, and 20-minute drive times. And the demographics there tell a much more accurate, realistic story about shopper behavior and supply and demand for retail products within those drive time areas. And it does reach out and incorporate some of the areas outside of Homer Glen, which is good because we do compete with our neighbors and businesses outside of our corporate limits, but this is a more accurate display of information for retailers that are looking to expand and potentially come to the southwest suburbs. So anyway, I'm going to be including some additional details about the trade area demographics I'm speaking about in my report this week, my staff report this week. But the most important work really continues now that Recon is over with, and this involves following up with more detailed information as was promised, and building our relationships with retailers. I mean, if we got not such a warm and fuzzy from a retailer, we may have another shot at writing a letter and contacting them to tell more of our story. If we didn't get a chance to meet with them directly, we got the right person in the company, the right brokers who we need to follow up with. But actually, I was really excited about how many people we really got to have direct contact with. And so there is some real work that has already started, even since we just got back. So with that, I'll conclude, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to say that the first year when I became mayor, I went to the recon, and there were quite a few businesses that were asking, who is Homer Glen? And for the last 4 years, due to the slide in the economy, I did not feel it was worth the assets of the village, the dollars of the village, I should say, to attend this conference. We did this year because we have properties that we want to market. I was extremely surprised that every single person I talked to, and I don't want to give away names just because we want to entice them to come to Homer Glen and not be throwing our names out there so people can compete with us. But everybody knew where Homer Glen was, and everybody that we talked to, including the representatives of the Sears property, were very excited about Homer Glen. And I think that came on the heels of the fact that Myers broke ground, and they're looking at if that size of an institution is going to build in Homer Glen, how come we're not building there? And the names are very attractive names that we will be discussing with and meeting with, and some of them were even to the point where it's not a matter of if we're coming, we are coming. We just need to know what the best property to locate on for our business. So it was very productive, long 3 days of meetings. For those of you that have never been to this, you set meetings up. Prior to it, you walk up to the counter. If you see something you want to make a meeting with, they give you a certain time. You come back for that meeting. They usually last anywhere from 45 minutes to possibly an hour and a half. And the village manager, the economic development director, and myself were very positive at the outcome of this meeting. So if anybody has any questions for Janie, please ask them. Thank you, Janie.
Thank you.
Okay, the final thing on the mayor's report is the Myers update. Since our last village board meeting, Myers has begun work on their big new Homer Glen store on Bell Road. The village welcomes the Meyer construction crews to this town. Over the course of the next 12 months, there will be literally hundreds of individuals and numerous companies involved in building our new Myers store. Not only will the residents of Homer Glen benefit from having a great new store, but the area is benefiting from hundreds of new construction jobs. I will keep you posted about this important economic development project in the weeks and months ahead. And that concludes the mayor's report. For trustees' reports, I know Trustee DeVivo isn't here tonight, so how about we start with Trustee Suisse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm planning to meet with the co-chair of the Homer Harvest Days Committee this week, and we'll report on any updates at our next board meeting.
Okay. Trustee Kate Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A couple things, if I may. This past week, we CED subcommittee met with the environmental subcommittee. It was a positive, productive meeting. It was, yes, a long meeting, but I believe that we have, again, taken a step forward. I look forward to meeting with the subcommittee again this week at 6 o'clock on Thursday. I had a chance to meet with Director Patch this last week regarding the recon meeting. It definitely sounds positive. It was a very exciting time, it sounds like, for Homer Glen going forward, and look forward to the contacts that Director Patch is making and has made. Again, thank you for that briefing, Director Patch. It was, again, very positive. Mr. Mayor, I agree with one of your comments with the gaming as well. Through some of the research I've done over the last month, I think with all the various issues that are placed from government on our small businesses, whether they be in our town or any town, USA, I believe this is something that we need to strongly take a look at for their benefit as well as Homer Glen's benefit. As they survive in the U.S. economy as small businesses, we as well survive. So this is something that I agree with you on, and as we move forward with that debate and that conversation later on in this meeting, we will have other issues on the agenda that I will address at that time as appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee K. Janice. Trustee Sabo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted is this on? Yes. On?
Yes.
Okay. Reporting on behalf of the Environment Committee. The first item is stargazing, which is being planned for July 12th. That's a Friday. They're always on a Friday. And the astronomy groups will be available on that date to meet the public and to answer any questions and to allow them to view through their wonderful telescopes. Lighting ordinance. At the Lighting Subcommittee meeting of May 22nd, Northwest Homer Deputy Chief Von Farah was present, representing also the Homer Fire Department, who was not able to be there. Review and recommendations to the emergency section of the ordinance took place to their satisfaction. An attachment depicting lighting fixtures has been added and will also be on the Homer Glen website. Other recommendations were discussed for amending the lighting ordinance. The date for another combined meeting with the Community and Economic Development Committee and the Environment Committee will be this Thursday at May 30th at 6 o'clock. Originally, it was for 7, but it's been moved to 6. Regarding the Earth Day Arbor Day event, the festival that took place last Saturday, it was a great success. The weather was very cooperative. I don't think we've had a better day since. And the visitors' numbers had swelled again in 2013 from 2012. The number of participants had also increased and all buildings were filled, and outside exhibitors had increased in numbers also. The Environment Committee wishes to extend its appreciation to all who attended and participated. We thank the Fire Departments, Homer Glen Building Department, EMA, and the Parks and Recreation Committee for their displays and sharing helpful information with the public. Appreciation also goes to the Homer Glen EMA and the Will County Sheriff's Police Auxiliary for their services. Those businesses who sponsors monetarily or with in-kind services contribute to the success of the event. We wish to acknowledge Chesden's Pizza and Cool Creations for the fine food and the fine service. We would now like to share a letter from Laura Bohanic, an exhibitor, a business exhibitor, about her experience, and she wishes to participate again. She says, I want to thank each and every one of you who helped organize the Earth Day Arbor Day event at the Kona Farm in Homer Glen on May 18th. This was my first time participating at this event, and I was very impressed on how well organized this event took place from beginning to end. First, all of the weather was fantastic. There was help from volunteers whenever you needed it. No matter where you were situated as a vendor, there was no bad spot to be had. The farm as a whole was very clean, very organized. The day was very eventful and enjoyed by all, especially the children. I was amazed at all the families who came out with their children for a family day event. Trustee Sabo, as the Environment Committee Chairman, is very proud of the committee, the Environment Committee, for their diligence and perseverance in planning and creatively contributing to the success of the event. The Emerald Ash Borer RFP. Since the village has received a grant in March for the Emerald Ash Borer problem, a request for proposal RFP will be sent soon to certified arborists for their proposals regarding work to complete the grant. Some of the obligations specified in the grant are to have an International Society of Arboriculture, or ISA, certified arborist be responsible for an EAB management program. Stem by stem inventory and recommendations for replanting with a diversity of trees. The work must match the goals which were submitted in the grant by the village. The first report is due from the village at the end of June. The Environment Committee would like to be involved in the selection process for the certified arborist, as it has been promoting a project to find a solution to EAB in Homer Glen for years, and has been involved in the grant process for the past 3 years. Another topic, Last topic, Emerald Ash Borer. As per Mike Salamovich, the Environment Committee agrees and recommends that the final stage for the Emerald Ash Borer grant be started soon. Educational signage is one of the projects, and signage is to be placed on the ComEd property near Yangus Park. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Yukich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I have is the festival's coming up very quick. Again, it's from June 20th to the 23rd. Fireworks, everything's finalized there. They will have the fireworks going to music. That'll be Thursday night. They will have one band performing that night. They're going to have 2 bands Friday, 3 bands Saturday, 2 bands on Sunday. Food vendors are all set. What we're still looking for is some volunteers to help with cleanup, setup, just basically helping out with the committee to make this a nice, smooth outing again. It's been successful for 2 years. We want to make it 3. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. Trustee Costa?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to wait for my report until under K8 legislative item. It's about the insurance, pest insurance.
Okay.
We'll discuss that. Thank you.
No problem. That concludes, well, no, I take that back. Does the treasurer have a report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments as of April 30, 2013. It's the last month of our fiscal 2013. The general fund had cash and investment balances of $5,804,049.71. The motor fuel tax fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,639,754.65. The land acquisition fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,158,618.30. The park fund had a balance of $1,203,353.68. And the capital project fund had a cash and investment balance of $23,384,084.65. And we will anticipate or expect the general fund to have an operating surplus, this being the last month of the year, but by the time it gets converted for audit, we would anticipate an operating surplus as we had mentioned in our budget. So no changes to what we originally projected.
Great.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Is there a clerk's report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Is there the village attorney's report?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Any task force chairpersons? How about public safety officials? Joe, Mark? Okay. How about the village manager?
Mayor, excuse me. Just a couple quick items. Mostly just staff recognition tonight. I want to thank, although she's not here tonight, I want to publicly thank Yelena Bose for all the significant time that she put in on the Earth Day Arbor Day event this year. She put a lot of extra time and effort in to that, representing staff, and I want to thank her for all the good work that she put forth to help make the festival successful. Also, want to thank Director Patch for the work that she did. The mayor touched on it, and then of course Janie gave you an update about Recon tonight. But the event would not have been as successful for us if Janie hadn't done a significant amount of work prior to us heading to the meeting. So I want to thank her for her good work. And also, Heather Kokodinsky, she did quite a bit of work on the graduate student internship program interviews that I went to last Thursday, and put a significant amount of work into that, getting it all organized and picking out exceptional candidates for me to interview, and I want to thank her for her efforts. Finally, we did get a call and a couple emails over the weekend about the music fest that was happening in Joliet. Apparently a lot of people out this way actually were able to hear the music fest quite clearly. The mayor has asked me to communicate to the city of Joliet and the county our concerns about the volume of the music event, and we'll do that, and we'll also communicate to all the people that contacted us expressing their concerns about that. So I just want to let the board know.
Thank you, Kim. Before we move to public comment, I'd like to thank Renee from the Homer Horizon, who this will be her last meeting. She's moving on to a new job. Renee, would you like to say anything in parting thoughts? Sorry for putting you on the spot, but you've been a good reporter for Homer Glen, and we hope we get somebody that can even compare to you.
Thank you.
Good luck in your new job.
Thank you.
Okay. And the next portion of this meeting then would be public comment. Thanks, Joe. The first speaker, if you'd step up to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. David Van Winger, you can pronounce it for me?
Van Wingeren,
Van Wingering.
14625 136th Street. Actually, I have nothing to say at this time. I'm item K7, and I thought I had to sign in.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you, David. Next speaker would be Dennis Gerwin.
Hi, Dennis Gerwin, 12250 West Derby Lane, Orland Park, Homer Glen. I want to take a few seconds to talk about ordinance number 08048, an ordinance that parts of which do not seem to be enforced, and that is the parking of RV and towable trailer type things, cargo trailers, flatbed trailers. You cruise around not only Derby Meadows, but you go into Sylvan Hills and over to Erin Hills, and it's not uncommon at all to find 35-foot RV buses parked on driveways permanently. We've got a towable, literally a towable house trailer parked between two homes on Derby Lane that has been there for years. The ordinance allows 48 hours for loading and unloading. After that, it has to be moved. This thing's been there for years, and I'd like somebody to tell me why that part of the ordinance is not being enforced. We have a situation also in my neck of the woods, which I'm most familiar with, where we have a car parked in front of a house where the lawn used to be. He apparently removed the lawn and put river rock down or some kind of rock and parks his car on that. These are violations of the ordinances. It doesn't make the neighborhood look good, along with all the garbage cans in front of the garages. The area is starting to get a little run down, and if you don't realize it, do yourself a favor and take a ride around and take a good look, a real good look. On another issue, I agree with, I think, everybody on the board about the passage of the gambling amendment or ordinance. I think that's a good idea. It has been just a little bit over a year now that the speed limit on Derby Lane has been reduced to 20 miles per hour. At the time, Trustee Yukich announced that it would be a one-year test and that they would resurvey the street to see if it had done any good or not. Well, just when you think it has done a lot of good, you find some yahoo ripping down the street, and then that just blows your image. I think it's time that the survey be reconducted using exactly the same type of testing equipment in exactly the same locations as it was done last time, with the report done up exactly as it was done the last time. If you're going to compare, let's do apples to apples. I don't know how soon you want to get that going, but it's been a year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person I'd like to speak in public comment is Frank Bujan.
Okay, I have a handout for him?
Sure. Sure.
Follow along. Thank you. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks.
Do you have an extra? I'll give it to Trustee DeVivo when she's back. Yeah, here. Yeah. Make sure she gets it. Thank you.
I just had one Frank Buchanan, Jr., 131 Hidden Valley Drive, Homer Glen. I just have a couple questions. I didn't understand what's going on. Can you hear me okay? Is this mic on? Or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Question, has the village of Homer Glen approached, I guess I'm a little late on this because I was reading that Meyer broke ground but instead of putting a new store up at 143rd of Bell, have they studied the possibility of taking over the Kmart and expanding it, the shuttered store that's just sitting there now? Has that been considered?
To give you a quick answer, they have no interest in it. They've owned that property for some time. They have every intention of building in that location way before Sears ever closed.
Okay. What about, if Nat Meyer has Homer Glen partnered with Sears, the owner of Kmart, to give them special tax breaks to a tenant to utilize the empty store? Or do you think it's going to stay empty for years? You know, once these properties, is anybody working on that with the real estate people?
You showed up a little late. We met at the Recon meeting, which is the ICSC show for...
What does that mean, IC?
International Shopping Center, International Shopping
okay, I
Center
understand.
Convention.
Okay.
And we met with the Sears people. They have many people very interested in it, all qualified, and the conversations with them, they would like to keep those names confidential at this point.
Do you think the village has to give them a sales tax break to get them in with all the breaks that are going on? No?
We don't discuss that before we know end users
it's
and all that.
confident. Okay, I understand. Second thing, I was wondering what the current status is of the eminent domain with Illinois American Water.
This is public comment. We can send you information if you want, but as long as I have the attorney here that is handling it on behalf of the village, he can tell you where it's been. To my update is we're in an eminent domain lawsuit that takes a period of time. And nothing's quick about that. There's the 5 communities which comprise the Joint Water Agency. And go ahead, Mark.
Right, and there's actually, that eminent domain case involves American Lake Water, which is the company that owns the pipeline.
It's not Illinois American Water?
It goes from Bedford Park to,
Okay.
it comes out to
Is
this
that
area.
part of Illinois American
Pardon?
Water? The company you're
Well,
talking,
actually,
their
all part-
subsidiary?
Yeah, they're all part of American
Okay.
Water. So
Okay.
there's Illinois American Water, which owns the distribution system in Homer Glen, Orland Hills, Bolingbrook, and just a host, downstate, there's a whole host
Right.
of towns.
Right.
And then American Lake Water, which is a subsidiary of the same company, owns the pipeline that I alluded to from Bedford Park out to the suburbs. So what has happened is that the water agency that the mayor referred to in his report, he has filed an eminent domain action to acquire the pipeline from American Lake Water. The distribution system which services the village is a different matter.
Right. Okay, the other question is, approximately what are the fees incurred by Homer Glen so far? Anybody have that number?
This isn't the meeting. This isn't a question and answer. This is public comment. I would suggest...
When you say public comment, is that open to the public? I have to look at a website or something?
Public comment is you get 3 minutes to speak what you like to speak, and I'm trying to get you in the right direction as far as the answers. My recommendation to you, if you want to talk about fees, is to go on the website, or the finance director right there, or the village manager can supply you with that information. Okay?
Okay. Amount of bonds issued, get that from the village manager too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Okay, and that concludes public comment. Let's see here. Is there a motion to approve this is now legislation, no, this is the consent agenda, excuse me. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Swees. Is there any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Swees?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next items on the agenda are legislation and action items. This would be J1. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-034, an ordinance establishing licensed and regulated video gaming within the village of Homer Glen? It is understood that revenue from video gaming machines as paid to the village of Homer Glen by the state of Illinois shall be dedicated to pay for any and all intersection Opticom installation upgrades within the boundaries of Homer Glen on 159th Street, South Bell Road, 143rd Street, and 151st Street. Village staff shall be directed to segregate the money paid by the state to the village for video gambling and dedicate that money to pay off any debts incurred to install, upgrade Opticom devices at intersections on roadways so specified. Upon completion of the Opticom installation or upgrades, the village will then move the dedicated revenue to the village's general fund for general use. It is further understood that all video gaming licensing revenue will be deposited directly into the general fund.
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janis.
Second.
Second by trustee Costa. Discussion. Trustee Costa?
Yes, Mayor, I think this might just be a maintenance item.
Okay.
On the agenda supplement sheet, it's read as ordinance number 13-034, but on the ordinance itself, it's 13024.
Okay.
Which number should it be?
Village manager,
The number that's on the agenda.
the number on the agenda. Okay.
So 034,
I think that's
correct?
probably a typo.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Yukich?
I just have a couple questions on this. When we talked about this last time, we put a notice out to the businesses and to the residents, and this one, we didn't know, at least I didn't know it was coming up until, I knew it was coming up. I didn't know it was coming up on this meeting till, unfortunately, Monday when I picked up the packet because I was out of town for the weekend. I am completely for this, but the only thing that I find a problem with is, we're trying to be transparent. We haven't given anyone from no residents, and I see 4 people from the business here. I don't know if the rest of the businesses know about it, because there's a couple things in here that I'm trying to figure out how they're going to work it. And again, with just getting this Monday, and it being a holiday, there was no one to call or ask a question, but you have to be 21 to gamble. You have to have a separate place for them to gamble. And not knowing how some of these restaurants are, I'm trying to figure out where they're going to put them to gamble. So I just want everyone on the same page.
Well, why don't I have the village manager just basically explain it?
Sure.
I could do it, but
Sure.
I'll let the village manager do it.
Well, Trustee, because most of the requirements that are indicated in the ordinance are actually requirements that they're required to do by state law. So there's no real flexibility. The separate area, that's not something that you can change because state law requires it. So they'll have to abide by all of the state law in order to get the licensing from the state. There's not really much the village board can do to change that.
Well, I'm not asking the village board to change it.
No, I'm just trying to explain it. Whether or not that's an inconvenience for businesses or not, there's nothing we can do here to change that.
Okay.
Because that's a requirement from the state.
Well, the same thing with video monitoring. They have to put video monitoring in the area that the gambling is going to be going on.
We, the ordinance, which the attorneys worked on, is basically taking the requirements from the state legislation and putting it in the local ordinance. So these, they're going to have to abide by the state law, or they won't be able to get their licensing from the state. I will say this, that a lot of, we have a number of businesses that are represented here tonight. By the looks of me, you can tell I get out and eat at a lot of these places, and I think the mayor and I, over the course of the past year, have heard from a lot of these business owners, have heard about their desire to have video gaming. And so I didn't feel like we had a real need to go out and ask them if they wanted it, because we've heard so many comments from them about their desire to do it. It did appear in the local newspaper, the fact that you would be considering that the mayor was proposing to bring forth to the village board. We did not receive one negative or positive call from that.
The other thing is that not everyone that has a liquor license, the people that install the machines have to be profitable. And so when you see all the institutions that have liquor licenses, minus the institution that runs the machines and provides the machines, saying they think they can make a profit, and we will not have video machines in every single place that has a liquor license. It'll be up to, the partnership of the people that supply the machines and monitor the machines and maintain the machines, and the liquor license owners.
Okay. The only question I had is basically for the business owners. When I went into business on my own, I thought I knew what I needed to know until I got into business. And all of a sudden, 10,000 things get dumped on your shoulders, where you didn't think you had to spend money for this, but you have to spend money for this and this and this. I just want everyone going into this with their eyes wide open, knowing what you have to do. You know, I started putting some of the businesses in my head of the bars, the restaurants with bars, and I'm trying to figure out where could you do it, because you can't just open up your doors and put the machines wherever you want. You have to have a dedicated place for it, because anyone that comes in under 21 years old cannot be there. So all I'm trying to do is, just like I said, I want all your eyes wide open on this and figure out what it is. I think it's good for the community, and I want it to come here. But I don't want you guys thinking that it's just going to be a slam dunk. There are some rules and regulations you have to do, and there is going to be $1 a month that you're going to have to pay for it. I mean, just for your own establishment.
The state dictates all the terms of the video gambling, so
Well, I'm not saying it's us.
right, George, what they have to do is they have to apply to the state for the license, okay? All we're doing is we are saying that Homer Glen does not object to video gambling per state statute. So now, I know some of them, with anticipating the fact that we would pass this at some point, I believe some of them have actually applied for state licenses. And they're all very aware of what they have to do as they move forward. They're aware of the breakdown of the monetary to them, the village, and the state. So they've been up on it. They've had a year. We've had a year to study it. They've had a year to do their research on it. So I would say in my conversations with almost every liquor license holder, they know what they're doing.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may
Yes,
say this.
Trustee Kajanis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As our business owners in our community embark on this, if passed, I would assume that they would do the proper due diligence. I believe these businessmen are very capable business people. They have survived tough times, tough economic times, as business people in our community and in this country. And as a board, I don't believe we need to get into the micromanagement of this process of being a business person. I would appreciate them to do the due diligence, do what's right for them, do what's right for the business as they embark on any reinvestments for their businesses into the future. We, as a board, should try to knock down any of those barriers to them, and this is one of the barriers that they may deem fit that would help them with their economics of their own businesses. And as any business, it's up to their own economics, not up to a shared economics throughout the community and each bar, but their own economics. And that's where the partnership comes between them and the owner of the machines.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah,
Trustee Yukich?
Like I said, I'm not trying to tell you what we think you should do. I'm trying to tell you what the state's going to want you to do. I'm not trying to do anything except get it in here for you. Just want you to know all the pros and cons of it. That's it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Abstain.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
The mayor will vote also aye. Motion carries.
Mayor, if I could just real quick.
Go ahead.
One of your outstanding items with the state of Illinois regarding the 159th Street project is whether or not you wanted to partner with the state on Opticon devices. So I'm assuming based on this vote tonight that my answer to the state on that, one of those outstanding items should be yes. And I was just wondering if I could get some feedback from the board, if you're comfortable with me telling them that we do want to partner with them on the 159th Street intersections that are in Homer Glen for the Opticon devices.
Absolutely, if they're willing to, partner with us and pay
Right.
for a portion of it, or grant money, or fund it, absolutely.
Okay, I will pass that along to them, and then they will provide us at a later date with a cost estimate on that.
Okay.
Okay, is everybody okay with that? Good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, this would be K2. Oh, congratulations to the restaurant owners. Get your applications in with the state. I'm sure you all have copies of the rules and regulations, and if you have any questions or you have any issues trying to get to the state, please contact us, and we'd like to help you out to make it a better establishment. Good luck. Okay, this would be K2. Let's see. The The following motions are for board's consideration. K2A, is there a motion to approve the position description for the administrative intern, village manager's office?
So moved.
First by trustee Sabo,
Second.
second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be K2B. Is there a motion to approve a graduate student support agreement for a public administration intern through Northern Illinois University?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Kajanis. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I would just like to point out there, this was, of course, prepared prior to the interviews that happened on Thursday. The hourly rate has been identified for the intern position, and that'll be $18 an hour. And so that will have to go into the blank that exists on the agreement. The other item that's been determined is the name of the intern, and you see his resume and cover letter attached. His name is Alec Yerk. I think when you have the opportunity to meet Alex, you'll be very impressed with him. He was clearly and absolutely the #1 intern candidate at the process that happened on Thursday, and I was thrilled to be able to convince him to come here to Homer Glen to help us out. He's very excited about it. So those two blanks are in that agreement, and I just wanted to let you know before you acted upon it. And thank you for your support of the program.
Thank you. Trustee Sabo?
I don't know if this is, should it have been under 2A or K2B? Anyway, it involves the intern. And you mentioned the pay scale of 18 per
Right.
hour. Now, is this something that is set up by the university?
Well, it's interesting. This is actually different from how the MPA program at Northern has typically handled this. This is the first year, this program's been going on for over 30 years. A lot of the professionals in the area that run municipalities went through this program. When I went through it, and other managers went through it, we were actually employed by the municipalities that we served, and as part-time employees. The university has changed it now because in order for the students to get their tuition waived, which has been traditionally a part of the program, the university has decided that those students have to actually be employees of the university. So now what we'll be doing is we will be contracting with NIU for the intern candidates. All the municipalities will be, not just Homer Glen, versus employing them separately. Now, having said that, that is for the period of the school year. So if we want to bring the intern in for the summer, which I do, or if we want to employ the intern next summer, which I do, then we will have to bring them in as part-time staff members for a couple months, and then the actual agreement that you're voting for doesn't begin until August. So it's kind of a little convoluted now versus how it used to be, but this is the program that NAU has set up, so we have to kind of follow it.
Okay, well, from what I read, then, do I have the right impression, then, that we are actually paying them? Or
We do, we pay them and they pay the intern. But each of the interns will be paid what the community pays them. In other words, if, my colleague up in Lincolnshire was offering $21 an hour, that intern will make $21 an hour. Ours, I offered 18, he'll make 18, but they'll be getting a check from the university versus us. Now, the nice part about that is the university then takes on all the COBRA obligations and all those obligations that we will not have, which is nice for us. It saves us a little money.
We actually tried to get an intern through this program last year, and we're unsuccessful. Not everybody gets an intern from this program. It's very popular. The intern, as much as we interview the intern, they interview you as far as the community that they're going to work in and also the pay that they're going to receive. The lowest on the pay scale, my understanding was it $15?
I can't remember what the lowest was, but it was
Okay.
lower than 18.
Yeah, and the top was $21.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, how was 18 established?
18 is established basically by me, the market rate, in talking with the NIU intern coordinator and asking what she thought that I would need to pay in order to get a top intern candidate. I wanted one of the very top intern candidates, and so I took her advice. She also showed me a list of what, she thought other communities were going to be paying.
Well, my concern is that we have a pay scale and we have, top to bottom. So the lower positions, the lower pay positions per hour would be actually lower than what this intern is getting, so that we have people on the staff that are getting less than this intern?
Right, and that would be common in all municipalities. Typically, you have clerical or administrative assistance positions, maybe, or part-time positions that are making less than interns, graduate student interns make. That's pretty common in municipalities. I think we only have, out of all of our we don't have any full-time staff members that are making less than this. I think out of all of our staff members, we maybe have one staff member that's making maybe less than 4% less than this, 3 or 4% less than this.
Okay, I had another question.
Which will probably be resolved this year with a pay adjustment, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I had another question. On page 2 of 3, under the Homer Glen letterhead stationery, well, actually, page 1 and 2, sorry. There are approximately 16 bullet points that describe how this intern is going to work, what they work on. And are these areas, I know that there are so many areas within the village office that need extra help. Are any of those areas going to be touched? I mean, I'm thinking.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I'm thinking about the office manager works very hard. Is she going to be relieved somewhat, or
She is, actually,
or
yes.
Mike Salamovich, or?
She is. I particularly looked for somebody, of course, all of the graduate student interns are very social media, website savvy. It's actually a little disarming to talk to them about how much they know about this stuff. Alex has had a lot of experience with social media and websites, so Alex will actually be, along with Heather, will actually be leading the village's charge to totally redo our village website and to establish ourselves on Facebook and Twitter, because he has a lot of experience with this. This is something that typically, you brought up Elena as an example, this is something that Elena would typically involve herself in, but we have not had the time to do it because she is very busy. So this is actually one of the, this is a perfect example, I'm glad you brought it up, of something that we'll be able to move forward with more quickly because of Alex's presence. Now, I don't want to pigeonhole him so that everyone thinks that he's just our website guy. That's not going to be his, 100% of his job here at all. But that is something that he's going to help us with and help us get off the mark and move forward. We haven't been able to do because of time constraints.
His function basically is going to work on major projects with the village. The fact is, we have some swing people that dance in and out of this project being assistants. This individual is working on a master's degree in business. He's going to be utilized as a benefit to the community based upon his education. So he will be working on major projects with the village.
Well, I see that 1, 2, 3, 4 of the bullet points pertain to economic development and CED. I'm not objecting to that, but that seems to be the concentration here. Am I misinterpreting this?
I say there are 3 main concentrations. One of them is very general, and that's general administrative support to myself, to Heather, to Elena, general administrative project support. A lot of things that we're not able to get to right now, we're going to hopefully have Alex's support to move forward with them. The other is communication. We have not been able to move forward with redoing the website, which he's going to be involved in. He's also going to be involved in the weekly email blast, the Homer Glen News Weekly that we're going to be starting. And he's also going to be involved in the creation and compilation of the newsletter. All things that Elena would typically be involved in if time allowed. So he's going to be doing that stuff. Also, the other concentration is economic development, absolutely clearly. Director Patch and I have talked about this extensively. In order to continue to take economic development to the next level, she needs some concentrated staff support. Alex has a very strong interest in economic development. That's one of the things that he worked on during his summer internship in his hometown last summer. And so that's something that he's going to be working on too. So those are probably the three areas to summarize. And then there'll be a million other little things that he works on over the course of 2 years.
Well, our website is very friendly. I mean, I like it. It's easy to maneuver. I don't know why the concentration would be on our website.
Because the website, the person who maintains the website no longer wants to do it, and nobody else knows how to do it because it's an old website that is not easily changed. So we either have to change it or stop it. Those are our choices.
I did not know that. I thought that she was willing to go on.
She's been doing it for a long time, and we greatly appreciate Chris's help, but she wants to retire from it.
Oh, see.
Yep.
I see that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further comments, discussion?
I just had one
Trustee
question.
Yukich?
Is it one intern or two interns?
One intern, one graduate student intern. We also have, over the past couple years, used a college intern in the building department to help them out in the summer when they're busy and when Doreen takes time off. That's totally separate. That's a much lower pay scale, and only for a couple days a week for a couple months.
Okay, just wondered.
Okay, is there
I
any
did
further?
have someone else contact me about an undergraduate unpaid internship that might be coming through. You might see a little information about that, where he wants to come in and do 1 or 2 projects over a couple months for a school project.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be K2C. Is there a motion to approve the revised Village of Homer Glen organizational chart?
So moved.
First by Trustee Yukich,
Aye, second.
second by Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Okay, this would be let's see here, J3.
No K.
Okay.
Hold on here. You're correct, K3. Too much paperwork here. K3, okay. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 13-012, a resolution approving a proposed resurfacing program for 2013 in the Village of Homer Glen?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa, second by Trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Trustee Sabo?
I had a question on this section, the beige stationery. And there's 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet point reads, engineers are looking at the intersection of Cream and 151st and Cedar and 151st to determine if the stop flow through patterns need to be improved. The existing patterns have been in place for decades, so any changes may require enhanced temporary signage to ensure driver awareness. Now, we're all familiar with that. It's kind of a hang-up situation through there. So are they considering moving the stop signs to a new location, flow through for 151st Street?
I'm going to defer to the chairman of your Public Safety Committee. He's got his hand up. Down the chairman's.
Wow. Thank
Yes.
you.
Actually, Public Safety has looked at this for some months now. What we're doing is we've done some traffic studies, and what we're concerned about with, of course, with 159th Street widening and the construction, that 151st Street and some of our other roads are going to see increased traffic, especially from resident or people that don't live in the community. And because each one of those three-way corners, if you want to call it, you stop 2 ways, but don't stop the other way. So we think that could become a safety issue So we're looking at possibly temporary stop signs during the construction.
Well, I believe it is a safety issue now, because I use that road a lot, and I think people are hesitating whether, is there going, the car coming straight, or is that car going to turn?
Right. So we've been looking at that for a while.
But
Okay. Do you have any further questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Okay, this would be K4. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 13-11, authorizing a $47,855.61 reduction of letter of credit number 1201 for First Community Bank of Homer Glen and Lockport from the current LOC amount of $53,172.90 to the new LOC amount of $5,317.29. It is understood that LOC number 1201 shall remain in place in the amount of $5,317.29 for a period of 2 years in accordance with the warranty requirements of the village's subdivision ordinance.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Trustee Sabo?
Okay, this is a small amount to remain, so it has to be in place according to the ordinance, but what particularly would it be used for?
Basically, per the village's subdivision ordinance, this would cover any defects in material or workmanship.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Okay, this would be, motion carries. This would be K5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-036, a text amendment to ordinance 08-048, entitled The Village of Homer Glen Zoning Ordinance, amending the village's wall sign regulations?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Kajanis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be, we broke 6 into 2 different A and B. The first portion, is there a motion to approve both, or is there a motion to approve the appointment of trustee George Yukich as mayor pro tem, and as mayor pro tem?
So moved.
First by trustee Kajanis.
Second.
Second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, George.
Thank you, Mayor.
The second portion would be 6B. Is there a motion to approve Ms. Cindy Polk to serve as a member of the Village's Plan Commission? It is understood Mrs. Polk's appointment will run from now until May 31st, 2016.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
I just have one question.
Sure.
With her being on a school board, is there any, because she still is part of the school board, correct?
We checked that out, and Mark can comment on that.
Actually, I talked to Bert Odelson about that this afternoon, and there, according to Bert, there is no conflict. I mean, the reason there's no conflict is that they're not in compatible positions.
Okay.
In other words, like if she was on to come to the village board, there would be a conflict because sometimes the school board or the school district can be subordinate to the board, for example, on zoning matters, so you can't serve two masters. But with respect to your plan commission, that is strictly an advisory body.
Okay.
So there is no conflict.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be K7. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-035, an ordinance granting a variance to permit a reduction of the required first-floor masonry materials for the construction of a proposed detached accessory structure for the subject property located at 14625 West 136th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, Van Windengarden property.
I so moved.
First by trustee Kajana, second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck. Sorry for messing the name up a little bit. Okay. This would be K8. Is there a motion to approve the rain insurance coverage for the 2013 Homer Glen Community Festival schedule on June 20th through 23rd? It is understood that in order to fully execute the attached agreement, Homer Township will need to approve the contract by June 10th. It is further understood that the expenditure was not budgeted in the FY 2013-2014 budget, and any expenditure on behalf of the village for the Homer Community Festival interruption insurance will be charged to the village's special event fund.
So moved.
First by trustee Kajanis,
Second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? I believe, Mike, you wanted to say something on this?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back in March, if the board remembers, we presented the preliminary premium, if you want to call it that, from Dotson Insurance. Since then, we went back to committee, and we actually changed the amount that we're going to be insured for per day from 25 to 20,000. And also, we changed the hours that we wanted to be insured to. By doing this, of course, the first time around, for example, on Saturday, we had it insured for, asked to be insured for 11 hours. We actually brought that down now considerably. And just to remind everybody, refresh everybody's memory, the way this insurance works is, for example, the new quote, if we want to pick, let's say, a quarter of an inch of rain on the first day, which is Thursday, and we are insuring the fest from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Anytime from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., if 1/4 of an inch or more of rain falls at Midway Airport, because that is where they're taking the rain gauge at, then we would be covered for $20,000. If it rains 1 inch of rain and stops raining before 4 p.m. and the fest is completely washed out, we get no insurance coverage. It has to happen between the hours that we are asking for. So again, middle of the night it rains, before the hours that are listed on the insurance policy, after the hours, any other time except those hours, we are not insured. So this was a gamble. I want to say a gamble. This is a gamble. It's basically the board saying that we are going to bet that we are going to have rain between the hours of that we're saying here, and if we do, we'll get coverage. We'll get paid back.
Okay. As you referred to it as a gamble, it's insurance.
That's exactly what it
And
is.
people take insurance all the time. We have had an experience where our first Homer Harvest Day was completely washed out due to rain. And there's a lot of expense put into it. I would support it. I have no issue with it. And we do have adequate funds to be able to help with it, so.
So what you do is we would, as a board, have to select what amount of rain we want to insure against. Anywhere from 1/10 of an inch, as you can see, is the highest premium cost, down to 1/2 inch of rain, which is the lowest premium cost for the hours that we're insuring the fest for.
Well, as far as the township goes, what comfort level do they have at these different breaks?
You know what, I believe they're trying to get a consensus from the township board, as we have to have this, I believe, the 11th. Yeah, the 10th is when they vote on it, but I believe we have until the 11th to get the policy signed. So it's cutting it real close. I believe they're trying to get a consensus of their board to see what they think about the insurance.
I would leave it up to the trustees that are involved in the fest itself to coordinate with the township and try to come to an amicable percentage of rain. And I would support whatever both government bodies come up with.
Okay. And then, of course, we could also pick 1 day, 2 days, 3, or all 4. Or none. Or none. It took us months and months to get these numbers back. Otherwise, we would have brought it to the board a lot sooner, but it's...
At all 4 days, Mike, what do we talk about dollar value?
I believe it's right around $8,000 if you go with approximately a quarter of an inch of rain. Let me redo it again, 16.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, rough numbers, $8,000 if you stick with a quarter of an inch of rain.
And this would be a 50-50 split with the township?
That is correct.
Okay. I don't have an issue with it. I think it's good advice to have a little backup plan. Who knows? You can hear what's rumbling out there right now. You have that with a full-blown carnival in town and bands and everything else, and Joe has to shut the thing down, or the fire department, because of lightning. We're in a bit of a hurt. So I would support whatever you, or whatever the township agrees to as far as the percentage of rain, and also I would recommend you get it for all 4 days.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of gets us, the committee discussed this a few times, is that, Midway Airport, I mean, they could get, no rain up there and we could have an inch here. Or vice versa, it could be shining here the whole 4 days and Midway gets a quarter of an inch of rain and we get paid. So
Well,
it's insurance.
It's, once again, it's insurance,
It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
That's the way it is, I mean, I know your bands for certain nights are you're gonna have to pay them some significant numbers, and if it happens to be on that night, and just that night, that it gets rained out, you will pay the premium, or the amount that you paid insurance will be well worth it, because the bands are going to cost almost 2.5 times that much.
Yes.
So, okay. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. The next item is, that concludes, let's see here. This concludes our legislation and action items. Tonight, we have a workshop item, which will be informational. Assistant to the Village Manager, Planning and Zoning, Aaron Varan, will give the board a brief PowerPoint presentation on the proposed text amendment to the village's zoning ordinance requiring curbed parking lot islands at the end of and interspersed in parking rows. Aaron, please begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the topic tonight is parking lot landscape islands. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a landscape area within a parking lot. And these islands can be within a parking lot at the end of a row or interspersed within the lot. And this project came about as an update to a text amendment to the zoning ordinance, and it started with the work that's being done at the Homer Township Library. As you can see on this site plan in their parking lot, the parking plan originally included landscape islands between the parking spaces and then at the end of the rows. During the project, the library found that people were driving over the islands because the islands weren't curbed. So people are driving right into and over the islands. So the library contacted the village and asked if they could pave over those interior islands and then curb the islands at the end of the rows. After just briefly reviewing the proposal to ensure that the drainage wouldn't be impeded, the village said that that would be okay, but this kind of exposed a flaw in our zoning ordinance that we don't require any landscape islands in our zoning ordinance. The village did a survey of 13 local towns to see what their zoning ordinances required. And this is included in your packet as attachment A. And it was found that of those 13 communities, 10 of the 13 required some type of landscape island in their parking lot. Of those 10 communities that required some landscape islands, 9 of those required that the islands were curbed. And 6 of the 13 communities required that a landscape island was installed at the end of a parking row. After reviewing the other communities, I took a look at some aerials and did an aerial survey of what we have in town. This first aerial is a picture of the Dominic's parking lot. There's 5 large parking lots in town, and 3 of the 5 already have landscape islands at the end of the rows and within the rows. This first slide obviously shows the Dominics, which has islands at the end of the rows and then islands within the rows. And these islands are spaced every 7 to 26 spaces. The next slide shows the Home Depot, which also has islands at the end of each row and within the rows. These are spaced every 8 to 18 spaces. The next slide shows Menards. Again, you see islands at the end of each row and then within the rows. And these are spaced every 9 to 25 spaces. And then we move on to Elite Fitness. Here you don't have the islands at the end of the rows, but they are interspersed within the parking lot. These islands are spaced every 9 to 38 spaces. The 38 is on the south side of the parking lot there. You have the large rows with the 38 spaces that aren't broken up by an island. And then finally you have the Kmart lot, which has no parking or islands within the parking lot at all. So you can see it's just all asphalt there. And then I also did an aerial survey of some other local shopping centers with large parking lots. This is the Costco in Orland Park on 159th near LaGrange. They also have islands at the end of every row and within the rows, and these are spaced roughly every 8 to 17 spaces. This is the Jewel in Lockport at about 159th and Farrell Road. Again, they have islands at the end of the rows and within the rows, or within the parking lot. These are spaced every 9 to 17 spaces. This is the Target at the Target Kohl's, and I think there's some sort of an office store there at Archer in Lamont. This is a different, in Lamont, they don't require a specific spacing. As you can see on attachment A, there's just required to be parking lots in the island, and then the site plan is approved by the board. So the spacing is a little different here. They're spaced every 16 to 45 spaces. And then finally, we have the Walmart in Lockport. The islands are at the end of the rows, and then they're also interspersed throughout the lot. And they're spaced every 7 to 31 spaces. So the Plan Commission did a review. They held a public hearing on this, and then they also did a workshop. And they came up with a recommendation that requires concrete curbed parking lot landscape islands, which should be located at both ends of each parking row. And then additionally, parking lot landscape islands should be located within the parking lot. These are in order to break up long expanses of parking rows. And then when you're doing your site plan, you have the option to choose one of 2 types of parking lot islands. Alternative A allows you to use a landscape island to break up a maximum of 20 adjacent parking spaces. And you can use a concrete curbed landscape island that is at least 7 feet wide and that extends the length of a parking stall. And so that would be something like this that's used within and interspersed within the parking lot. Or you can use alternative B, which is a continuous landscape island, which is protected by a continuous concrete curb. And this would be 7 feet, which is measured from back of curb to curb. And that would look something like this. So it's in between the parking rows. And so kind of just to put them together, the one option A would be shown on the bottom, and that's a landscape island every 20 spaces. And option B is up top, and that's a continuous curbed island in between, and you can use either or. And then a third option that the Plan Commission discussed but kind of left up to the board would be a stormwater best management practices option. And this was used by some of the villages that is shown in attachment A. And that is just using some stormwater BMPs such as curb cuts or swales in the parking lot to help improve drainage. And that's a third option that we could use in the parking lot for the drainage, to improve drainage. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I had a question for you as I'm looking at all these different numbers in different stores, Dominic's, Elite Fitness, Home Depot, Menards, Kmart. It says island required every X spaces, and they're all different numbers. I'm not a planner. I'm just curious as to how they come up with these numbers.
Community preference.
Okay. But every one of them's like different.
Right, community preference. They're all over the map. You can see on the attachment. It's community preference. If you're on the North Shore, if you go up to the Wilmettes of the world, you'll see a landscape island every 7 spaces, 8 spaces. You know, it's just a community preference for how much landscaping you want to break up asphalt. What I think the Plan Commission, in their discussion, they tried to find an amount that they thought was reasonable. They still broke up the pattern, but wasn't too onerous. So that's what their whole conversation was about. They spent some time.
They originally went with 12 in their workshop, and then they talked about switching it to 15, and then so many of the other communities had 20, and when some of the members of the Plan Commission went out and actually counted some spaces in some of the parking lots that we have and said, some of those are already at 19, and then some of these smaller shopping centers, like the one we're in, they felt it was too heavy of a restriction to break up at 12 parking spots.
So as we look at, like, let's say the development comes in, a new opportunity for the village on a piece of property, they come through the PUD process, and it's more of a what seems to fit on that piece of property they want to go on versus a set standard of spaces?
They will always ask you what your minimum is. What's your requirement? There aren't too many that want to put more landscape islands in the parking lot that's required. One of the reasons why we came to the board, and asked permission to go to the Plan Commission and stuff, is that if another Meijer came in tomorrow, knock on wood, a store like Meijer, and they asked us what the ordinance said, the current ordinance says you don't have to put them in. And I don't think anybody wants to repeat the look of what Kmart is now, because of course that was done many, many years ago, different development standards. So that's one of the reasons why we went through this whole process, because we want to tie this up quick and have something on the books, just thinking that there'll be other development opportunities to come. But it's totally a community standard, and I think the Plan Commission really debated it, discussed it, and they thought that 20 was a good number.
I'm still a little confused as far as, like, you have a piece of property. One is a very large piece of property, one is a very small piece of property.
Right.
One has X amount of room for parking that maybe, let's call it 40 stalls. And then the other one has 500 spaces like a Myers.
Right.
Where do you come up with the minimum that would apply to a smaller one?
Well, the ultimate goal would be that as you travel through a community, you notice a consistent standard, So whether you're in a parking lot of 40 or whether you're a parking lot with 500, that you would kind of feel like the same standard was rolled out for everybody.
I get you.
And so, 10 cars parked in a row here, 10 cars parked in a row there, a mile away, 10 cars parked in a row, that's kind of the ultimate goal.
Okay.
So to try to make it a standard throughout the whole community, whether you have a smaller parking lot or a bigger one. Now, if they feel that they have some unique challenges, they can, and hardships, they can always, of course, ask through the PUD process and they can ask for a variance, if they feel like they have some hardship that way, so.
Okay, Trustee Costa?
Just a quick question, since, you're going to have islands in the parking lots, and the islands are taking up real estate, is the number of spaces required going to reflect the amount of room that you're using for the islands?
No, it wouldn't, but it would count towards your green space. It would count in your lot, against your lot coverage, or for your lot coverage, so you wouldn't have to count that as your part of your.
Okay, so a developer would have to get quite creative to get the required number of parking spaces, because you're using up 20 or 30 spaces, what's islands. How are they going to pick up 20 or 30 more car spaces?
They do it everywhere. You see it in all the examples she gave you. It's pretty standard. This is pretty standard. It's been standard for, decades, actually. I don't know why it's not on our books here, but it's pretty standard. They're used to it. It's not something that they would argue about. As a matter of fact, in many instances, they actually need the green space for their
To pick up their landscaping as well.
For their landscaping and lot
Their lot
coverage,
coverage,
because
yeah.
they have to do a certain amount of landscaping.
They get a credit for it.
And we don't have landscaping requirements included in this part of the ordinance at this time, because we're anticipating, hopefully, when we have time, putting together a landscape ordinance, so we don't want them to conflict and to have to redo this part of the ordinance, because we've included, you need a tree or this type of bushes in the ordinance, so we don't want to have to take those out eventually, so we've just left it blank, and it'll be when we review the landscape plan, we'll look to those things, but there's no specific requirements at this time.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Sabo?
Landscaping makes a very attractive and inviting property. It's a great place to shop. People are also looking for a place for shade, especially in the summer, where they're going to park their car. The examples that were given are nearby, and I think that's convenient. However, thank you, gentlemen. However, they're not the best examples. So I don't know where there is a really good example, but these aren't necessarily attractive. I'm glad that the Plan Commission did not really say, we like these, but they were just giving a variety. And I like option 3 because it relates to the Stormwater Task Force work for the Stormwater Ordinance, and Marcia would confirm this if she were here. And that is that best management practices are important, and that the parking lot can be functioning, not just for cars, but actually functioning for stormwater. And then this also will help with drainage and monitoring and so forth. It also would, if there are curb cuts or slits in the curb, then the water will flow to there and help water the plant material. So I really do recommend number 3. Also, I believe there was a mention here of native plant material, which could be native plants or native trees, which survive so much better. There's always a watering problem out there. Unless they're going to be putting in sprinklers, we're not recommending that. But this, plants that function better are the ones that are native. And then also in one of the charts here that you found, that there is one of the municipalities does not allow does not allow snow to be piled in the parking lot, which really is a death knell to the expensive plant material. I question, it's up to 20 spaces. They can decide on how many spaces they want. I know they're looking for uniformity, but if it's just up to 20 spaces, there's an allowance there for creativity, which is really important. Are you even thinking about maximums or minimums? Like they would have a minimum number of spaces, or is it just the way it happens to work out on the property?
You know what, Margaret? I saw the officer walk in, talk with Mark Fish, Trustee Yukich just showed me something. There are tornado warnings in Will County.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do is anybody that has suggestions to the village manager and Aaron, how about you forward them forward, and we move on to adjourning this meeting.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And this will be coming back to the board, and so we still have to massage it a little bit. So your feedback will be helpful. We'll massage it, and then we'll bring it back to the
Will it come back as a workshop? Because I don't think...
It'll come back as an action item, but it's going to be massaged. We're going to work on that
Talk to you and Marcia about
third
that.
choice a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any, that concludes tonight's workshop. Sorry it couldn't be more of a discussion, but there is tornado warnings in Will County. Is there any old business? Okay. Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I adjourn.
First by Trustee Sabo, second by
I second.
Trustee Swees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned. Everybody drive safe. A lot of water on the streets.